Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. Okay, so I wanted to do something different today. I've been doing a bunch of haul videos and reviews and, you know, random thought videos and all that kind of stuff. So I thought I want to do, there I go again, I want to do like my favorite children's books because on two of the tag videos that I did, it asked like what got you into reading or what was your favorite book as a child or like what was your favorite series and things like that. And fortunately enough, my mother, before she passed away, kept like all of the books that I loved as a child. She kept them in a box, very well kept, even though I as a child obviously did not keep them very nicely. So anyway, because some of them have only one cover and things like that. But I pulled out all of them that I remember being my favorites, which is quite a few. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do a video and talk about my favorite children's books. And then you guys can comment below and tell me like what some of your favorite children's books were, if you remember them at all. And I will say there is one semi-controversial book in here that I thought was kind of funny when I was going through it. I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about this book. And I was a little weirdly obsessed with it. So anyway, I'll talk about that in a second. But I want to get right into this because I do have quite a few books. I have like 20 of them. The first book I want to talk about is Corduroy. I was obsessed with this book when I was a kid. I mean, like absolutely obsessed. First of all, I loved, if you don't know the story, it's about a stuffed animal and he's in a department store and he's lost a button. And anyway, it is so sweet. And so he goes and looking for this button on like beds and things like that. I had like the Corduroy like stuffed animal and all of it. And I absolutely love this book. And it's about finding a best friend, even though you're not like perfect and that, you know, maybe like there's something that's not right about you and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I absolutely love this book. It was one of my favorite childhood books. I think my mom probably read it to me a million times. Did your parents read to you before you went to bed? I feel really blessed in that I can remember my mom tucking me in and reading to me like every night until I was like, I mean, probably like middle of elementary school. Like I remember that. And then after that, we would like read a book together before I went to bed or whatever. And I'm so blessed. I feel so blessed that she did that. So, okay, so the next book, and these are so kind of like in random order. There is no like real order to them. The next one is Brenda Bride and Her Flyaway Veil. I absolutely was obsessed with this book, and I think that this was actually my mom's book before me. I don't know. It's like really old. It's a Peephole Palace Play Story book. And on the back of it here, there's like more of them, and you can get the dolls too. There's Cinderella, Betty Ballerina, Brenda Bride, she was my favorite obviously, Mother Goose, Nina Nurse, God, I kind of would have liked to have had her. Goldilocks, Sally Stewardess, oh my God. She was kind of ahead of her times. Rockabye Baby and Red Riding Hood. But Brenda Bride was absolutely my favorite. And it's so windy that her like veil goes flying away and she has to chase after it. Oh, what will I do if I don't have a veil? I won't be able to get married. And all that kind of stuff. But of course she finds her veil at the end and she gets married. This one like is like dirty. It is so dirty and I cannot believe it's still together. But there are a few missing pages inside. I want to see what year this was published. 1967. So pretty cool. The next ones that I have, and this was actually, I read these a little bit later, like 3rd or 4th grade, are the Pippi Longstocking series. Did you guys read these? Now here's the funny thing about this. I actually saw the movies first and then read the books. Do you guys remember the movies? Like, the movies were so good. And it's so funny because the girl that played Pippi Longstocking in the movies is like my age today, and she's like gorgeous. But anyway, I was obsessed. Let's look at them. I have the whole series, and I can remember getting them at B. Dalton's in Chicago with my dad. And here's Pippi Longstocking. There she is. She's the girl that had the hair that stuck out straight, and she had like a bag of gold, and she lived in this house, and her papa was like in a faraway island. She had a little monkey on her shoulder. Do you guys remember this? Oh my God, I loved these. And then Pippi goes on board, and then she had these two little friends, and I can't remember what their names were. And then here's Pippi in the South Seas. Anyway, if you have not seen the movies, you can get them on, like, you can just look them up on YouTube and they're there for free, I think. And they're so good. My favorite part is when they go in the candy shop and she like, and all the kids are like looking through the window like this at the candy, like, oh my God, is Pippi, is Pippi gonna buy the candy? And the whole things are like dubbed, because I think they were made like in Denmark or something, or Holland. And so she like buys all the candy in the candy store, and the candy guy is like, oh my God, he's like losing his mind. And then she takes it back and they have this huge feast. Anyway, but she's really lonely. It's a sad thing about Pippi Longstocking was that she was really kind of a lonely kid. And then, anyway, you have to read the book to find out. I'm not going to tell you. And then, of course, the next one is The Giving Tree. And, you know, when I was a little kid, I didn't really appreciate this book for what it was. And as I get older, and like I've seen so many reviews on BookTube where people are like, I hate The Giving Tree. The Giving Tree is so trite, and blah, 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 blah. Wait until you're 40 and read The Giving Tree, okay? Because it comes true. That's the real deal right there. This book I loved as a kid, but today I look at it and I think it's super, super depressing. My mom wrote in here, to Peter, I've always loved this story, Love Mom, Christmas 1990, and that was the year I was, my senior year in high school. So anyway, but like even if you read and the tree was happy, and then the old man is sitting on the end of the tree. So sad. I don't know why I loved that book when I was a little kid. And then of course the next one, are you ready? Was Peter, Pan and Wendy. I loved anything with my name in it. So Peter Pan, you know, of course I was obsessed with it. You guys already know the story of Peter Pan. I don't need to tell you about it. Okay, the next one, and I've actually talked about this in another video. Please hold, I need a sip of my drink. What might I be drinking today, you ask? Coffee? No, not for this video. How about some pink lemonade with a little frosty straw? A little tart. Okay, Are You My Mother was one of my favorite books when I was a kid. And it's about this little bird, and he goes around everywhere, and he's like asking all these things. Look, my mom wrote my name in it, Petermon, like I was gonna lose it or something. And he goes around to like all these people, and he's like, "Are you my mother?" A mother bird sat on her egg. Anyway, and so he goes around, and he like asks all these people because he can't find his mother, and he asks like this truck, like, "Are you my mother?" and all this kind of stuff, and it's so funny. And so anyway, of course, you know, I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but there they are. They find each other. So I just told you. Then the next book I loved, look at this, it's so horrible. It's A Fish Out of Water. Have you ever, and I talked about this in another video too. I love, love, love this book so much. Can you tell? I mean, look at it. It is like, and my mom wrote Petermon on that one too. It is like horribly destroyed. Anyway, okay, so this one is like, about this boy, and he gets a goldfish, and the guy's like, and it's like about like following rules, and the guy's like, but don't feed it too much, because if you feed it too much, you know what'll happen, it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so of course the fish gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then he can't like handle it, and they have to move it to like a bigger tank, and then to a pool, and then all this kind of craziness. See, there they are taking it to a pool, I think. Like today, this book probably wouldn't go over real well, because you know, like people would be like, activists would be like, we don't treat fish that way. Look at that, all tangled up. Anyway, I loved that book when I was a kid. Okay, the next book I loved so much was Little Bear. Did you guys ever read these? And here's the thing. Oh my God, my mom wrote this in my, 672, that was the year that was the summer, that was when I got born. That was when I was born. So I must have got this for my birthday. I must have got this for when I was born. Anyway, okay, on here is What Will Little Bear Wear? Birthday Soup, Little Bear Goes to the Moon, and Little Bear's Wish. My favorite was What Will Little Bear Wear? And what it's about is Little Bear wants to go out in the snow, and like he doesn't have any mittens, and so his mom makes him one of these mittens, all this stuff. It is cold. See the snow? See the snow come down? Little Bear said, Mother Bear, I am cold. See the snow? I want something to put on. Oh my God. And okay, do you guys remember little books? Like I had all of these in this little thing that like each book, like the four of them fit together, and they were real small little books, and you would just like read them like this. Little books for little people. And I loved those little books so much. And I can remember when I would go to the library but be like, Mom, where's the little book section? She'd be like, well, sweetie, I don't think they have that many little books. And I'd be like, I want the little books. I always wanted the little books. The next book is hands down my favorite, and it's so gross, do you see? It is my hands down favorite children's book I ever owned. And to this day, the pictures are creepy. I absolutely love it. And it is The Lonely Doll, Story and Photographs by Dare Wright. Okay, this book, do you see how dirty it is? I can remember my mom, we were at a garage sale, and she was like, see, because it used to be like pink plaid. She was like, or gingham. She was like, you can have whatever you want. And I was like, I want this book. She was like, really? Anyway. She wrote in it, Mon. This book is about this little girl named Edith, and she is a mess of trouble. I mean, she is always getting into everything. She lived in a nice house and had everything she needed except nobody to play with. She was very lonely. The lonely doll, get it? Okay, so anyway, So then this bear comes, Mr. Bear, and his little bear, his son, which is Little Bear, and they all play together. But Edith is like always wanting to get them into trouble. Like, see here, she's wanting to play with their makeup, mom's makeup and stuff, and she's like, oh, let's said Edith, but first I must do something about my hair. She tried making it into a knot. That looked very grown up. See, she looks very nice there. She looks like a ballerina, kind of. And then they get into trouble, and they get into, oh, the water spilled, and the makeup goes everywhere, and then it kind of reminds me of Mommy Dearest a little bit now that I look back on it. I mean, they are into all kinds of trouble. And then, oh, so went on the lipstick, but in the mirror, Edith saw Mr. Bear watching, and then he says to them, she goes, he goes, just look at this mess, he said sternly. These things aren't yours, and you know you're too young for lipstick, Edith. Exactly. Booktubers don't wear makeup. I am not, replied Edith, and I don't care what you say anyway. You're a silly. I love that. You're a silly. Anyway. So that was one of my favorite books, The Lonely Doll. I kind of have thought about it through the years, although I didn't want... Look, Mr. Bear is just as silly. I love that. I wanted to take these pictures out of here and frame them before, but I didn't want to destroy the book. Okay, the next one is... I don't even have a cover on it. Look at that. How horrible. But I did sure draw a path all through there with my crayons. Okay. Crayon? Crayon? Come over to my house. Come over to play. I love this book. And my favorite was... And you know, it's really weird in retrospect because it was always like this boy wanting to go over to these people's house and sleep over. And I can remember kind of like being like, oh, I wish I had sleepover because I didn't have a lot of friends. I drew on this book and book. But my favorite was the one where it's like, fluff, fluff's enough is what it was, but I can't find it. Okay, the next book I want to talk about was Alice's Adventures Underground. And I don't know when I got this book or where I got it. Oh my God, this was before I was born. It was a Merry Christmas from my dad to my mom. And look, if you look at it, this is so, so cool. Nice. A facsimile of the original Lewis Carroll manuscript. And do you see, it's like pictures drawn, and then it's all handwritten. Oh my God, it's the coolest thing. I used to love it, and I would look at the pictures when I was a little kid. Okay, well, we'll put this back. Okay, the next one was Raggedy Ann and Annie. My grandma took my cousin Caroline and I to go see this movie when we were little kids. I can remember it being real magical and mystical, but kind of weird and scary at the same time, and I loved it. Okay, the next one was It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, because my favorite holiday is Halloween. And I just love this book so much. I didn't really care for the Snoopy part, so when he was the Baron. Did you guys miss? I didn't care for those parts so much. But I did love The Great Pumpkin, and I love The Party was my favorite. That was my favorite. Okay, so the next book, two books. I do remember my mom reading them a lot to me, and that was Peter Rabbit, because of course I love everything by Peter, about Peter, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And I think one year, actually, I was Snow White. I know this is probably surprising nobody. I think one Halloween I was Snow White, maybe. I definitely know one Halloween I was Wonder Woman. If you do not believe me, you can read it on my blog post at the Huffington Post under Peter Mon. Go search it. And there's a blog post there called I Always Wanted to Be Wonder Woman. Anyway, my dad, who is totally cool and ahead of his time, which we're going to talk about in the next book, made me a Wonder Woman costume. And I think one year I wanted to be Snow White, and I think he made me a Snow White costume too. The Wonder Woman costume, though, was fantastic, and I even had a gold lasso of truth that was string. The next book, and I cannot even show you the pictures of these, was, my parents were very, very progressive, was called Where Did I Come From? Okay, I cannot, here, I'm going to show you just this. It's like a million little sperms, do you see? And I cannot show you this book, but basically what this book is about is how our baby is born, but there are naked people in this book, and I cannot show you. And the naked people, I just realized this when I was like flipping through it. This is the controversial one. And then it says, by this time, the man wants to get as close to the woman as he can because he's feeling very loving to her. And to get really close, the best thing he can do is lie. Oh, I cannot read this. It's like too much. Okay. And then it shows a picture of it, kind of. I mean, not really, but kind of like what you would show for a child. It just looks like they're totally making love, and then it has all these hearts over it. But the funny thing is that they're so chubby. And then it says underneath there, this is the closest two people can get. Now, I will tell you what's funny about this book is that my parents totally missed the mark, obviously, since I'm gay. This was not the book I needed. The chubby part, though, I totally relate to. Okay, and then the next book that I absolutely loved as a kid was the new Walt Disney Treasury 10 Favorite Stories. $4.95. What a deal. I love this. Lady and the Tramp was my favorite. And you know what's funny is I've seen like one Disney movie, and it was The Little Mermaid. Oh, no, that's not true. 101 Dalmatians. Yeah, that's all I've seen. I haven't seen any other Disney movies. And people are always like, you haven't seen Disney movies? I'm like, no, I haven't seen them. You can't get them on demand, and you can't get them on Netflix, so I have to go buy them, and I don't know if I like them to buy them. So rent them to me. Or loan them to me. And my favorite children's book was Richard Scarry's best word book ever. And I love this book. It has planes and boats and people playing instruments and places. And I used to go through, and this is what I would do. I'd be like, if I could own any one of these things on this page, here it is in the kitchen. Which one would I pick? And then I would say, which one do I want? The blender. And then I would go to the next page and I'd say, okay, Peter, you can only own one of these buildings. Which one would you buy? And then I would say, the skyscraper. Do you see, like, I knew what I wanted way ahead of time. And then it'd be like, if you could own any animal, which would you own? And I'd be like, oh, the queen. You see her? She doesn't even look like a she. That's what's so funny. Anyway, isn't it funny how children's books shape our lives? I miss reading these books so much, but trust me, I'm not going to break them out. Hope you guys are having a wonderful night. What are your favorite books? Children's books. Love you guys. Bye.